currently I'm in a season of joblessness right now. It's been very difficult. I landed a great job about 8 months ago. It's what I would consider my dream job in a lot of ways, and I ended up driving a company vehicle. I was driving a company vehicle home, and made the foolish decision to have too many drinks and drive, which is incredibly stupid. And I pulled into a military hospital to do a U-turn, and I was greeted at gunpoint since I wasn't to be on the premises. And of course, they asked me if I had anything to drink, and I had, and I got a DUI. And as a result, lost my job. And as a married guy with a baby on the way, I'm currently looking for work, and it's not coming along real easy. So, it's times like these when you wonder, man, I don't like where I am, and will I ever get to where I want to be, and when will that happen? And so I want to speak to those of you who are going through some season of struggle right now, but I want to talk specifically to how it may relate to your interaction and your perception of God. Where is God in these times, and how is He relating to us, and how can we relate to Him? And I think the common assumption is that when we're going through things like this, that there's a sense of, we're prone to distance ourselves, not only from others, but also in our interaction with God. I mean, because one, if He was really present in our lives, and He's looking out for us, then, why are we really dealing with this right now? Wouldn't He have prevented us from getting into this situation? And two, maybe there's a sense that God doesn't really welcome us in these situations because He wants us to be past this, or He's disappointed in our performance in some way. He wishes He would expect us to not have to be dealing with this. The same way we're hard on ourselves, we feel that God would be hard on us. And so as I've sort of been pressing into God during this season of joblessness and trying to understand how He relates to us in these difficult situations, I've kind of been mulling over the Bible to see how it is that God relates to people in difficult situations, either by way of their own personal failure, as mine is, or just through external situations. And so what I'm seeing again and again, contrary to our assumption, is that God is close to the brokenhearted, and that when we are in a place of weakness and need, that is when God's heart is very tender toward us. And I see this in a few different passages. One you may well know is where Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden," or heavy burdened, "and I'll give you rest." He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls." And so for those who are feeling weary and heavy burdened, He doesn't say, "Come on, buck up. Why are you weary? This shouldn't be affecting you the way that it is." Rather, He says, "Just come to me. I'm humble, I'm gentle, and I'll give you rest." There's passages that say, "Cast all your cares on Him because He cares for you." Throughout the Psalms, you see David saying, "I cried out to the Lord in my distress. I cried out to the Lord in my anguish, and He answered me." In the Beatitudes, on the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who are broken in their spirit, for they will inherit the earth, and they will see God." And so throughout the Scriptures, there is a sense in which really self-assuredness, self-confidence has a tendency to build a wall between God and us. God is not looking for the proud and the self-confident to come to Him in a self-assured way, absent of any need. But when He says, the Bible says God opposes the proud, but He gives grace to the humble. And we see that time and time again. Jesus said He's coming to set captives free. He's coming to give sight to the blind. When He speaks about who's going to be involved in welcomed into His banquet, right? When all things are restored, it's going to be the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. Those who were in a place of need, and therefore we're sensitive to other people who are in need. So one last promise is that it is in our weakness that God's power is perfected. So take comfort in that. If you're feeling that sense of not being able to approach God because maybe you're not worthy in some way, just receive by faith the fact that He took care of all of your brokenness, all of our weakness, all of our sin on the cross. He paid for it, and that there's no condemnation, no disappointment from Him. He's open-armed toward us, and that we can bring our brokenness to Him, come as we are, and we're going to experience His acceptance. And not only is He going to begin to comfort us in our spirits by way of His Spirit, I believe that He's also going to bring other people around us and express His love to us through them as we begin to open up about our need to other people. And lastly, I believe He'll move circumstances and change things circumstantially and rescue us, so to speak, part the waters so that we can move forward from this experience as stronger people. And He uses these things to develop character in us, right? I mean, that's a promise from James, is that God is using trials to cultivate His nature in our lives, to develop in us a sense of humility and dependence, and give us an ability to comfort others, right, with the comfort that we receive. So please know that your struggle right now, one, that you're not alone, that I and numerous others, everybody else in the world is going through their share of struggles, but also that God is tender-hearted and compassionate with you, welcomes you to come to Him as you are, and He will receive you and begin the process of healing your heart and providing exactly what it is you need. And so let's take comfort in that today. Thank you, my friends. Until next time, farewell.